Hey there, Diana from Adirondack Girl at Heart. I teach vintage and antique lovers how to create successful antique businesses that they'll love. One of the ways I do that is through these videos. Another way is through my website, adirondackgirlatheart.com. It's filled with over 70 articles all about different vintage and antiques, and it's also filled with lots of very fun vintage and antique crafts and DIY projects. Today, I'm going to be focusing on tools. I love to pick up tools because they sell very well for me from my antique booth. I also always recommend picking up vintage and antiques that men like, because men often are less afraid to spend money on antiques than women sometimes are. I don't know if that's true or not. You'll have to tell me down below if you have found that to be true. So I'm not a tool expert by any means at all, but I have learned a few things along the way. So I'll try to share them with you. All right, so the first thing I'm going to show you is a planer. And it has a nice wooden handle, and it's signed Miller's Falls, made in the USA on the handle. So manufacturers, whether it's handmade or machine made, are often very proud of their creations, and so you want to look for a signature or a manufacturer's name. Sometimes they're hidden, sometimes they're just kind of blatant, just like this one. So this wasn't hard to find, right? So Miller's Crossing, no, that's a that's a flea market in Pennsylvania. Miller's Falls is a well-known manufacturer of tools, and the pieces are collectible. Now this has some sort of unusual little addition there, something that would have held the blades in place. I don't think that's original. The pommel here is wood, and it's a little bit rusty, but that doesn't bother collectors that much because they can work on it and get rid of the rust. I haven't researched this one yet, but anywhere from $25 to $50 would be my guess on that piece. I have a little area in my antique booth that's all tools. Now, I always pick these up. Wire cutter is what I would call it. This one has a name on the side, but I was not able to find anything about it. Oh, that's so funny. I was reading it wrong. Okay, I can see it better for some reason. So it's R.S.&W. Co. 1819 original. So that doesn't mean it was made in 1819. It's just maybe that's the patent date or when the company was created. But it's a nice piece, and I will price it probably at $25. And I should mention that I use my wood salve on almost all metal tools. I have the recipe for the wood salve on my website, and I'll link to that down below. But most vintage and antique pieces of metal tools need a little glow up. Okay, so here I'll put some. Well, here I'll put it on the blade. So there's it without the wax, and here, hang on. This isn't going very well. Okay, there we go. All right, so the top is waxed, the bottom is still dry and rusty looking, right? So just doing that, adding a little wax, let it sit for a little while, and then buff it back with a nice clean cloth, and you'll get a more of a satiny finish that is more appealing, right? You can see that there. So I will use that on metal tools and wooden tools, and if I ever had a plastic tool, I would use it on plastic as well. Here is another pair of wire snips, wire cutters, and this is made by the Crescent Tool Company, signed right there on the handle. And so $20 to $22. And here are some, I call these tile snips. That's what I think of them. And this pair is not signed but has a nice graphic look. Like if you were gonna decorate with tools, I would decorate with this one. So I tend not to pay more than $1 for any tool. And there's a couple of things that I paid $2 for. The reason I do that is because I don't actually know tons and tons about it, and I'm not sure of my investment, right? Also, a lot of times you come to a garage sale or even an estate sale, all the tools are laid out and it says $1, you know, $1 for each. So I look for interesting older pieces like this one. And I will price this one at $15 to $18. I think it's kind of cool. Now here's a leather tool. I think like I'm not sure. I'm showing you my ignorance. Nice oak handle. We'll wax that. Put a little wax on that. See how it brings out the grain just a little bit? Yes, that's nice. $8 probably on that one. Here's another one. I have no idea what it is, but it's so cool. I will hang it on the wall, and so I have an article about rust, how to clean rust off of metal. Basically, I use either steel wool or a wire brush to clean off as much of the rust as I can. Sometimes with some pieces, I might even soak it in vinegar, but not a tool. I won't do that. I'll just clean it off, and then I'll give it some of the wax and call it a thingamabob or a doohickey and put $15 to $20 on it. If you know what that is, go ahead, tell me in the comments. And then here's a pair of scissors, some kind of scissors. Yes, they would have been sharp. And no signature on this either, but very cool. I think interesting. $12 to $15 on that. A couple of hammers. So this is a toy hammer. Cute. $10 to $12. I think, is this called a peen? No, that's not a peen. That's like for mining. That's what it looks like to me. Really nice oak handle. The wax will make that, bring that to life. Also put some wax on the hedge there. And again, no signature on this piece, but 12 to 15 for that one. Now I have a couple of measuring tapes. So this is a Lufkin. It was $1. Lufkin is a well-known brand in tools. Measuring, a lot of measuring. Maybe it's only measuring, like folding rulers and long metal tees and things like that. So made in the US, it's got a little name on the back, Wizard. So I did research this one a little, and I could not find one like it. It's got a metal rule in still really nice shape. So I'm hoping something like $25 to $35 on that. Hoping it's like unique and everybody wants it. Now this set, which I bought separately, these are also measuring tapes with this leather cover, which I will use some of the wax on it. And look at that. Isn't that great? Just brings it to life. Little wax. And this also has a metal tape. Very cool looking. It is also Lufkin. Okay, that says the Lufkin Rule Company. So they must have focused on measuring implements. And it's Saginaw, Michigan, down there. So this is also a Lufkin, but it has a fabric measuring tape with the coolest typography, right? I thought about just unrolling it and using this for projects, but which I may do because I found out that they're selling on eBay for just $10, $12 each. I think that they would sell for a little bit more than that. Oh, and this is the little winder on the top. There's one for the cloth tuck it back in there. And then there's one also for the metal. Just fold it back and then wind it up. I just think I'm fascinated by them. Okay, what else do we have here to show you? So here's I would call that like an oil can. I don't know, would have been used in a shop somewhere. And it was $3. The wax will also look great on that one, right? And probably price that in my booth for $22. This is another measuring type of thingy. I know it has a name. Nice earlier piece, probably $15 on that. And then again, look at how it's just the wax brings out the wood there. And okay, now we have a few little things. Okay, the first two are oil cans. So oil cans have stopped selling very well for me. They still sell, but I've had to lower the price. Now the small ones though still sell. So here's one for $1. Cute. And here's one that I paid $2 for. And they are also unnamed. This one has a little tiny bit of a dent. We'll clean them up, we'll wax them, and put $15 on each of those because they are adorable. And then here is a clamp. I always pick up red metal clamps like this for $1 or less. This one has an H on it and a number, 3-inch number 550, and then on the back it's Gin Tool Company. I haven't heard of that one, but this should sell for $12, $10 to $12. And then calipers I always pick up. Again, I think these are so like, you know, decorative. Like I'm gonna hang that on the wall with that other piece that I said I was gonna, the thingamabobby. And put 10 on that. And then here's an awl, maybe an ice pick, not sure, with a nice, very nice turned wooden handle, and 8 to 10 on that one. And a galvanized thingy, a galvanized organizational piece. So I did pay $2 for it. What I really want to do is put it like this and then display things in it. I'm not sure how well it will stand. It won't stand on its own. Yeah, it's too narrow this way, but 15 to 18 on that. I really think that piece is cool. Now I have some measuring things. So these are like architects and designers would use these triangular shaped rulers. They were each 25 cents. So I'm gonna say that I think the yellow one is a little bit older, and I will put 10 on it. And this is K and Eco, and they made slide rules that are very collectible. It's Kevlar and something like that. And then the draftsmen use them. I see that word there. So the company that made these is called Alvin. Haven't heard of that one. So probably 6 to 8 on those. And then here's a cool piece. It's a sliding ruler. So it has these little brass pieces that hold it together. And then you can open it all the way up. And it's advertising Penn Mutual Life in Albany. But look at the phone number. So it's only 5 numbers. So we know that dates it to, I don't know, way back, 1930s or 40s, something like that. I just thought that was very cool. $12 on that one. And then here this is, I think, a sort of a slide ruler. I don't know if it would have had a slide, but it has lots and lots of numbers on that side. It's wood. It's, I think it's 24 inches. Yeah, 20 or maybe maybe 22 inches. The back has a little bit of damage there, but very cool. To me, it's very cool. $20, $25. Might need to do a little bit of research on that. Okay, a couple things left, some levels and some garden tools. So I always pick up cool levels. So orange in my estimation is cool, and 15 to 18 on that one. And then red is always awesome. Paid $2 for that one, and 20 to 22. And then here is another red one, older than the last one. It was $2, and again 20 to 22 on that one. I've sold a number of them on Etsy before. In fact, there was one woman who bought 3. She collected red levels. She bought 3 for me at different times. Okay, last few things are gardening tools. So this is a very cool trowel for some very specific purpose. And that oak handle is just gonna look awesome after it gets its spa treatment. Last two, so a garden fork with a little bit of orangey reddish paint. These are preferred. I find they sell better when they have a little bit of color on them. Oh, so I didn't give a price. So this one, because it's unusual, I'm gonna do 12 to 15. This one, once it gets cleaned up, will be about 10. And then the last one are these red clippers, 25 cents. Could not pass that up. $10, $10 to $12. That's it for my tool finds. I hope you enjoyed seeing the tools, and if you have any thoughts on what certain things were or what they might be worth, go ahead and put them in the comments and educate me, okay? All right, as always, happy hunting.